Let's all take a deep breath together. Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Zoomers. Can you hear me? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, good. Good to see all of you and all of you here. Let's take a moment and kind of come together and just by simply turning and looking around the room and smiling and maybe little waves and just kind of, yeah, cool. Already feels better. You guys, hi. Hello, hello, hello. Look at all that. Everybody really, they're more enthusiastic in here. No, I'm just kidding. They're not in person, face to face. So tonight, welcome. We are going to begin our 3-week series. We do a few series a year. That's a few weeks of teaching, 3 or 4, sometimes 5 weeks of a full teaching. So tonight we're going to be speaking about, this series we're going to be talking about the Noble Eightfold Path, and in particular the training sequence. And I'll explain what that means. So tonight my job is to give an overview of the path and then to focus on the first training, which is Sila. So where does the Eightfold, first of all, let me just say for new people that we teach from the teachings of, the earliest teachings of the Buddha. Not the Buddhist religion, but the human being who is considered one of the first great psychologist. So we use his teachings, and we don't really, we're not connected to the religion so much. That's an option for anybody, but just want to say that. So where does the Noble Eightfold Path lie in all of the hundreds and hundreds of teachings? Just kind of want to start there. And it's the only thing he taught was, you hear this over and over again, suffering and its end, right? And that is contained in the 4 Noble Truths. So guess what the 4th Noble Truth is? It's the Noble Eightfold Path. It is the path to the way, to the end of suffering. It's the training program or the prescription. The Noble Eightfold Path, there is stress or difficulty or suffering. The cause is craving. The 3rd truth is it can be ended. We have the capability. And the 4th is here's how. And that's the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay. Now, the path is in 3 parts. And so how do you take 8 and make it 3 parts? One has 2, and the other 2 have 3. So typically, so the first 2 is the wisdom group, and that involves understanding or view and intention. So those 2 make up the wisdom, and there'll be a teacher in a couple weeks giving that talk. Basically, in just quickly, right view is simply the 4 Noble Truths and karma, the teaching of karma, which is there's consequences to all your actions. So, and then intention. Intention is simply non-harming, loving kindness, and generosity. Those 3. So I speak about that because that feeds right into the second 3, the middle 3, is what I'm going to be focusing on tonight. That's moral conduct, okay, or ethical conduct. One teacher calls it integrity, as Sila means integrity, how we show up with integrity. And that involves speech, our actions, and how we support ourselves, how we make a living. Those three make up the moral conduct, or Sila. And then the last three are the mental training, mind training. It's the word is samadhi, which often is translated as concentration, but think of it as stability or steadying the mind. So that's effort, mindfulness, and concentration or stabilizing. So that makes up the eight. That makes up the eight. Why do we start with the middle three for the training? We're talking about moral conduct, or we try not, I try to steer away from that word moral because of our culture of Judeo-Christian sort of background. That word is wrought with like demands and judgment for us. I do like integrity, and I do, oh, in fact, you know what I want to share with you? I'm not a big AI, is anybody here like all into AI? Raise your hand if you are, I'm curious. Oh, good, maybe I'm not unusual. Maybe it's our group that's not. But I just thought, I'm gonna find out what AI says about moral conduct. Just see what they come up with. And I'll tell you what, it sounds Buddhist. I mean, it's right on. What is the meaning of ethical conduct? It refers to acting in a morally right and socially responsible way based on principles of honesty, fairness, and integrity. It involves making decisions and behaving in a manner that aligns with a shared set of values, whether personal, professional, or organizational. Examples include being truthful, respecting others, and taking accountability for one's actions. And that is excellent Buddhist definition of Sila, I think. So what I really want to make a strong statement around is that, you know, there's lots of numbers involved, just like, you know, all of the Eightfold Path. So there's 4 ways of abstaining from unwholesome speech. There's 3 3 abstentions from unwholesome actions, and then there's 3 main things for livelihood. But the main thing is that our speech, our behavior, and the way we support ourselves does no harm. So the beginning of how we work with Sila, how we work with this, is how we are internally with ourselves, our self-speech, our actions toward ourselves, and our the way we show up to support ourselves, to make a living. So rather than I used to get like, especially, you know, it starts with right speech or wise speech, and it's abstaining from lying, abstaining from harsh speech, abstaining from malicious speech, and idle, useless speech. And I was like all about like figuring out what is each one of these, how do they relate to each other, and am I sure that this is harsh, or is this malicious, or is this gossip, or, you know. The main umbrella to always have is my intention, harmlessness, is my intention to do no harm. We know when we're transgressing. We know when maybe some little zingers come out of us, or that is harmful. We don't have to categorize it. We don't have to, you know, we know when we're sort of weakening into, we want to be part of a group, and so we'll participate as little as we can, but with a little gossip. Just add a little bit here and there of gossip, because then we're part of that group. We feel accepted in that little group. We delude ourselves, we delude ourselves. But so why do we start with Sila? I don't think I ever said that, right? We're starting with Sila because we can't train the mind if we have remorse, if we have regret, if we have shame, if we've been transgressing in our actions, in our speech, and in the way we make our living. If we're having to lie, if we're in sales and we're lying, or if we're in advertising and we're making people think they need something that they don't need. I mean, there's so many examples, there's so many conundrums when you really dig down. And it's really easy to find this material and work with it. So I don't want to get too much down the rabbit hole about each type of transgression, but just really want to make that strong point that doing no harm, that intention is our North Star. That's the North Star, okay? So having said that, now I'll tell you. Speech, as I said, so truthful, being truthful, not telling lies, not white lies, not any kind of lies. Harsh, just being kind, and you can be harsh with animals or humans. You can be harsh in all kinds of arenas. We want to be kind. Malicious, meanness, just meanness. First of all, we all have to own when we transgress. So I will tell you, if I'm hungry or tired, I will tend to make mistakes. That's when I have a tendency. When I'm upset about something or somebody's done toward me, or then I'm guilty of venting. And I found that word venting, so maybe that's okay to talk about somebody or something, because I'm just releasing, I'm venting. I was kind of like, as I sort of saw myself doing that, I was like, no, it's still not, that doesn't cut it. You don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, so then we move into, those are the four speech things to abstain from. And then we move into action. It's simply not killing, not stealing, and no sexual misconduct. Those three make up right action or wise action. And we go right back to the first step of the path, the wisdom step, that karma, our actions have consequences. So we really, this Sila, this whole training is to clean up our act. So what are we talking about with killing? We don't run around killing people, but we might kill insects, we might kill without thinking about it. We just might transgress. So we just want to be aware. Am I doing no harm? Am I doing no harm now? Stealing, we can be stealing by taking other people's ideas and making them our own. We can take what's not given. That's mainly what we're doing, is taking what's not given to us. And so there's gray areas. And so we need to be very clear. And this is not a don't do this. It's ehipassiko, just like all of the Buddhist teachings. See for yourself. When there's a transgression, how does that feel when you go to meditate? What is coming up for you? The Buddha talks about the joy of blamelessness. So really cleaning up our act brings us joy, brings us peace. This wonderful book I'm going to suggest, it's The 8 Mindful Steps to Happiness, Bhante Gunaratana, otherwise known as Bhante G. When I first saw the title, when I first started working with this book, I thought, oh, that's nice. 8 Steps to Happiness. What a nice title. You know, like follow the Eightfold Path and you'll have, and happiness is like pretty bold statement. Guess what? He's serious, and the Buddha is serious. Happiness comes from blamelessness. It comes from living in a way that causes no harm toward ourselves or others. And this is the end of suffering. So I want to just share one, now that I have it open, one. Even when we say about someone, even when what we say about someone is true, if its intent is to cause the person harm, it's malicious. Okay? So there's sort of, we want our speech to be, well now, speech was done, now never mind. Open to the wrong page. Okay, so non-harming. Okay, so we're now at non-stealing. We don't want to take what's not given. Okay, and then of course, sexual misconduct. This is a very, very important area for people to feel safe. And there's a continuum, obviously. Any kind of innuendos that make someone feel unsafe is not good. It's not good action. So again, in terms of really all the conundrums you can find, I commend you to even just Google it, AI it, but I don't want to get into too much nitty-gritty because it's just doing no harm in our actions. And the final one is how we make a living. So this has to do with not making a living with weapons, trading in weapons, with killing, and with stealing. So I talked about advertising. I talked about different types of, actually no, wait a minute. It's dealing in intoxicants. So it's killing, I'm sorry, backing up. I'm trying to do this without notes. Did you notice that? And I'm really, like, I know this stuff, but I'm sort of in between. So, because I also want to demonstrate that the numbers, don't let the numbers scare you. As you go along, you get to know. So weaponry, not killing, and not dealing in intoxicants. Those are the 3 ways of right livelihood. We want to abstain from all of those. And again, there's lots of gray areas. I was in sales in my 20s, and while I was thinking about these things, I remembered how I transgressed as a rule. I was required to lie. It was part of my job. Tell him this, just tell him that. And if this doesn't work, then say this. If that doesn't work, then say that, And I can remember, looking back, I forgive myself because I was in my 20s, I didn't know. But I remember thinking, I have to pretend that I think their babies' pictures are cute. And I was all over it. Oh, how cute. Oh, But later, it didn't feel good. I was lying. I was lying to make a sale, you know, to get them to like me. Um, so we want to be careful. Be careful. One of the things people can, in terms of selling intoxicants or growing pot and selling it, or whatever, if your intention is to do no harm, and you grow pot and you sell it, and it's considered an intoxicant, but your intention is that this is going to help people. I mean, and you need the income, you know. So that's really the bottom line. And when you start to wake up to these guidelines, it can be kind of squirrely. It can feel kind of, when you look back at things you've done and look back at how you've shown up in the world. So I really recommend forgiving yourself and being kind with the decisions you felt you had to make. I know what I wanted to share. This is a lot of people are interested. In whether meat eaters are doing harm. And this is from Bhante Ji. For the purpose of keeping the precept against killing, the Buddha defined killing very specifically as the act of purposely taking life. In the rules he set down for monks, the Buddha further clarified the conditions necessary for an act of killing. There must be a being, you must know there is a being, you must intend to kill, you must plan to use a method to kill the being, you must kill the being using only the planned method. Meat eaters do not fulfill any of these conditions. They know that what they are eating is meat and that the meat came from some animal, yet they had no intention of killing the animal, nor did they participate in killing it. And I bring that up not to make it like, a non-issue, because it is an issue, because it's one that each of us has to explore for ourselves. What does it mean for ourselves? What is it, But I wanted to share that with you because there's a lot of confusion with that one. Okay, so where was I? I was on. Okay, so actually we run out of time anyway. Let me end with a quote by Sayadaw Tejaniya, and it's about attitude. And this is your attitude as you walk the Eightfold Path, as you practice, you're in this training. To recognize whether or not you have the right attitude is more important than experiencing peaceful states or having a good sit. Right attitude is accepting, observing, and learning from your experience, just as it is. Thank you.